this is where like shit starts getting very interesting. And
welcome back to another video. Obviously the video was very long. It ended up being like about an hour long video. So I ended up having to cut it into part 1 and part 2. So what you guys are going to be seeing right now is part 2. Also, if you guys haven't seen part 1, make sure that you guys do go watch it. I'm going to actually put the link down below. One thing that I did want to throw out there is I know I focus a lot talking about my neck issues, but that's basically like my story and how I ended up going from being perfectly fine to having a neck injury, and then that actually led to my depression and anxiety. I just want you guys to know that just because everybody has a different story, not everybody just starts with anxiety or depression. It can be caused due to a lot of things. As far as me, my story, I ended up getting anxiety and depression because of a neck injury that I have that I'm still currently treating. Just make sure that you guys do watch the video. Any questions that you guys may have, make sure that you guys do leave them down below in the comment section. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
I started having like a lot of issues with like EPC, a company that I was partnered up with for something that I'm not gonna say. We had already been doing business together, but then like a bunch of shit happened where like a lot of my old employees kind of like did some shit that kind of like fucked me over. And so I was like stressing out real bad about it. And I just had this shit on my mind for like maybe like 3 weeks straight. Like I would wake up thinking about this shit, and I would fall asleep thinking about this shit. But I didn't think that's what like got me to like get to where I'm at right now. I thought it was more like the weights, because at the beginning of the year, one of the things I said I wanted to do was do my weights. So I started doing my weights, and I started noticing that like within like a week of doing my weights, man, oh man, one day my guys were here at the house, we were working, started feeling super impatient. I didn't even know why. Next thing you know, my heart starts going super fast. Very embarrassed because I had employees here at my house, and I didn't really have anybody who I trusted at the time to speak to, just other than my wife. But I was trying not to make a show, because if I just went to my room and I laid there, then my guys were gonna be wondering what was going on with me. So I finally like end up telling somebody, I'm like, yo, I think I'm having a panic attack. And it got super bad. I had to call the ambulance once again. And usually I never really call the ambulance because I always feel like I can overcome them. But when I do call the ambulance, it's because I feel defeated. I just feel like my mind is getting the best out of me, and I feel like there's nothing that I can do to calm myself down. So the EMS came and they basically checked out my vitals, said everything's good, and they said, hey, pues, you were just having a panic attack. And I said, yeah, I know. It's because of whatever I have going on with my neck. But then again, like, you tell these people what's going on with like neck issues and posture, and they would never fucking believe what you're telling them, because they don't think some shit like that exists, which is fucking like, it's crazy. Like, I didn't even know some shit like that existed, and I didn't even know that like some fucking shitty posture can like fuck you up so much. EMS came, whatever, and that was like a very, very bad panic attack, to where like my whole body got super tense. Like my feet got like numb, my arms got numb. I was like, yo, like this shit is not normal, right? But then they were explaining to me like, yo, like it is normal, because whenever you're going through a panic attack, this, and this, I don't even fucking remember what they said, and that's why your arms and your feet start to feel like that. So like, whatever, bro, like I kind of just chilled out for the rest of the day. And usually like the day after I get a panic attack, those are like my shitty days, because I'm always just like overthinking, like I wonder why I got a panic attack, or man, I hope it doesn't happen again. My mind just like always running the day after having a panic attack, where I'm always like very down just because I'm afraid that it's gonna happen again. So that was like the first panic attack. That should happen like on a Monday, Tuesday. Later on that weekend, I think it was a Saturday or Sunday, I was cooking out some hot dogs. Everything was good. I was chilling. I was jamming out. And then I don't know why, I went to the front. I was talking to my mom because I really wasn't feeling too good. And usually talking to somebody helps me feel better. I just like, my fucking heart starts pounding super fast. And I was like, yo, I'm about to have another fucking panic attack. Told my wife, like, give me a glass of water. I had a big fucking panic attack. And then I finally started relaxing, and then it fucking came back. So I was like, bro, fuck this, bro. Like, this shit is like not a panic attack. It's something else. So yet again, I caught the EMS 2 times in 1 fucking week. Super embarrassing. They come and they're like, yo, you're having a panic attack. And usually when the EMS comes, I'm able to relax. I feel safer. But that night, it kept like coming, going. I kept telling them like, yo, like, I'm not feeling good, you know? And they're like, bro, we don't want to take you to the hospital because you're having a panic attack. Again, they had checked my vitals and everything was perfectly fine. So they said, if you go for a panic attack, all they're going to do is leave you in a waiting room until you feel better and then send you back home. So I was like, well, fuck that. I'll just stay here at my house and I'll figure it out. They were there, and that's when they started telling me like, you should consider like going to the doctor, like getting put on medication because it was already like your second panic attack in a week. I was like, yeah, like whatever. Like I've never been one to like think about medication. So I just kind of put it to the side, right? Then a couple days later, I get my last fucking panic attack. So when I got the third panic attack in like a week and a half, that's when I was like, yo, like I'm pretty sure it was like the weights that fucked me up, because the doctors do tell you if you don't do it the right way, you can fuck up your neck even more and you can cause a lot of fucking anxiety to kick in. And to me, it was just like a coincidence that I had just finished doing my weights for a week straight, and that whole week and a half after, I felt complete shit. So I called my doctor like the day after that panic attack, and I was like, yo, like I started doing the weights again. This is exactly how I've been feeling, this, how many panic attacks I've been having, so I need to go get checked out immediately. And I'm not one to just pack my fucking bags and leave, because I just don't like that shit, especially after all the panic attacks that I've been having. But I fucking decided to just set an appointment for a week after that third panic attack happened. We had to leave like on I think we left on a Sunday. Yeah, so it was like very close. So all that week I didn't work. I was just kind of like sad, down, like just upset, and kind of just waiting for that day to come. That day comes, my first flight to Dallas, everything was cool, everything was chill. My flight from Dallas to Florida, 40 minutes left in this flight, I get a fucking panic attack. That was like one of my worst fears, like getting a fucking panic attack in a fucking plane. Like if I have a panic attack while I'm driving or something, like I can just turn that shit around and go back home and just speak to somebody. You're in a plane, you can't make fucking phone calls, you don't have no service. Yeah, I had Wi-Fi and shit, but it's not the same thing. You're in the fucking air at thousands of feet, like, and then on top of that, I had to wait 40 minutes to land. Luckily, like a flight attendant, like he was super cool guy. He sat down next to me. We were just kind of talking about like his life and what life is as a flight attendant, and we were just talking about like me and why I get anxiety and whatnot. I was able to relax when we like touched down, called my mom, and I was just super down about everything. I was just like excited like to go see the doctor, but at the same time I was like scared because I wasn't even gonna go see my doctor until like Wednesday. Monday I had booked a day to go to Disney World with my fam since we had never been, and my daughters had been asking to go. Next day comes, we go to Disney World, right? Now let me remind you, I had just finished having a panic attack. I was all bummed out, and we had landed in Fort Myers, so we had to drive 3 hours to go to Orlando, and it was either we drove that same night or we drove the next day in the morning super early to be at Disney all fucking day. I said, you know what, let's just go tonight, right? I wanted to be positive. We drove the 3 hours from Fort Myers all the way to Orlando. I made it perfectly fine. We get to the hotel and everything was good. Like I felt chill. I was excited for the next day to come. I wanted to take my daughters to Disney. I wanted them to have a great fucking time. I wanted my wife to be happy, and I wanted to be happy. Next day, we get up. We're all fucking happy. I go to Best Buy. I bought another mic, and while I was at Best Buy, I started feeling very shitty. So I was like, man, like I hope I don't start feeling shitty whenever I get to Disney. Like if not, because usually when I feel shitty, I just always fucking just go back home. We get to Disney, and man, like let me tell you, like this is not some shit like that you just like buy your fucking ticket, scan it, and enter, and you're already in Disney. Like you have to fucking park, walk, go through fucking security, get your bags checked, then walk some more, go through your tickets, then walk some more, go up these fucking stairs, get on this train. Like it's like a 5-minute ride. You get to your destination, you get down, you walk more, and then you scan your tickets, and then you're inside Disney. So throughout that whole time, I started feeling very shitty. But I was like, whatever, bro. Like I'll get distracted. I'll just walk around, whatever. Like I'm good, you know. I had never been there, so I thought maybe me seeing all this shit like would distract my mind, and I'll be happy and I'm good. So then I start like my fucking anxiety kicking in. Whenever I get really bad anxiety, I usually can't be around where there's a lot of people because I start getting really stressed out and I feel like everyone's just staring at me. I started getting real fucking hot because that day was super hot. I had to buy this towel, put it with fucking water, wrap it around my neck. I tried to sit down. I was just super impatient. Luckily, I was able to call somebody. We were just on the phone and I was like, you know what? Well, I started calming down a bit. I said, fuck it. Like, let me try to see if I can be good. Luckily, that ended up happening like the first hour that we were there, and we ended up being there for like 9 hours. So for the rest of the 8 hours, I was perfectly fine. Like we were eating, we were walking, like I felt good. I was just super thankful and super happy that like I was able to stay there the whole 9 hours without my daughters having to see me like give up and basically go back home. From there, we had to drive another 3 hours back to Fort Myers because the next day I had to go see my doctor. As soon as we were done with the fireworks, we fucking get in our car and we drive another 3 hours to Fort Myers. So I think we ended up getting there maybe like 1 in the morning to our hotel. Whatever, we get to the hotel, sleep, whatever. Next day comes, I go see my doctor. They basically do the same test that they had done last time. and they basically told me like there's no improvement in your neck. And I said, okay, like I know that, but something about me using the weights, something in there like got worse because I started feeling very shitty. They were just asking me like how I put on the weights. They basically told me like you cannot use the weights anymore, like we're gonna recommend something else, which is like a little pillow that you just put on the floor, you lay on, and you just throw your neck back, and with time eventually your neck curve is supposed to get better. I come to find out the day that I get there that the doctor who had previously prescribed me the weights was not there anymore. He apparently got fired, or I don't know, like I got two different sides of the stories. But anyway, this doctor wasn't there anymore, and that's the guy who had like fixed me up and I was feeling great. So he's the guy who I was expecting to see. So when they told me, yeah, he like got up and like just opened up his own practice, I was like, well, shit. And I was trying to play it cool, like, oh, where did he go type of thing, because I was curious, because I maybe wanted to go see him. And they're like, oh, he's somewhere down the street. I said, all right. So I remembered his name, and I searched him up on Google. Thankfully, I was able to see him. So at this time while I'm doing this, the neck doctor is with us, and he's basically consulting with us, letting us know like, yo, pues I'm going to recommend that you do the injections. So I was scheduled to do the injections the following day at 7:30 in the morning. I could have done them that same day, but I just had a really, really bad headache, I guess from like the drive, that I was like, yo, I cannot do the injections with a big headache, because I felt that if I did all the 40 injections, that I was gonna like get up and like pass out or something. So I was like, I'll just wait for the next day. We scheduled it for the following morning, and then my wife and I were like, yo, we should try to go find this doctor and see if maybe like he can see me, right? So we ended up finding him. We drive like 10 minutes. We get to his office, and I asked if I can see him, and they were like, oh, like we're booked, this and that. And his assistant and I were pretty cool. So he ends up coming out the door, and I was like, yo, do you remember me? Like, I'm from last time, this and that. He was like, oh yeah, like this is what was wrong with you and this and that. Like, how are the weights? And I said, well, that's why I'm here. Like, I think the weights messed me up even more. Blah, blah, blah. We had a good conversation. So he's like, you know what? Let me go talk to Dr. whatever. I'll see if we can squeeze you in. So he comes. He's like, yo, come into the office. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, like just because we like you and you're cool. I was like, bro, badass. Like, I was super happy. They checked me up. Or first they asked me what was going on. I basically told them. They checked me. We went to like their van and started doing like some screening and shit. And basically they just told me like, hey, you have to like keep at it with the weights, and I promise you that you're gonna get better. I said, all right, whatever. Like, so at this point I was kind of like stuck between, should I do the weights or do the other curve correction that the other doctor was telling me to do? So like two different doctors were telling me to do two different things. So I was kind of like stuck in the middle, and I didn't know what to do. But I decided to stick with the weights because that doctor is a doctor that had first originally helped me out, and I was feeling great. Fast forward, next day we go to Fort Lauderdale. That same night I was having a fucking panic attack. So I had a panic attack for like about an hour. So at this point we were in Florida for about a week, and almost every day I had a panic attack. We drive 2 hours to Fort Lauderdale. I had a panic attack that night. The next day we plan on going to Miami just because we never been. So we wanted to go see the beach, have a good time, film a bit, and then come back to Fort Lauderdale because I had to meet with one of my partners. We drive to Miami, and while we get there, I'm already not feeling great. Then we stopped for some breakfast, and I was talking to my wife about how I've been feeling, and depression hadn't even crossed my mind. But something that I do know is that I was feeling very tired about how I had already been feeling, and just very frustrated. So I was talking to her about like the first time that I was actually depressed, and then for some reason like I broke down. Like, I broke down very bad. I just started fucking crying. Let me remind you, we were having a very nice breakfast outside, enjoying the view, enjoying all the badass cars that were passing by. And something that I said was, it's not normal for me to be out here in a city like this with this badass view and to be crying like this. And that's when I knew like that maybe I am depressed, you know? And like that's when like reality hit, and I was like, yo, like if I'm feeling like this, then I gotta go fucking do something about it. So I was talking to one of my good friends, and I was talking to my mom, and I said, I think I'm depressed, Mom. This is already after I saw my doctor, right? So like usually like I'm always like very hopeful, like, okay, like if my doctor's telling me this, then this is exactly what's gonna happen. But for some reason, I just wasn't very hopeful. My mind was just all over the place, and I was just very down, and I just had a mental breakdown. So we still ended up going to the beach. I sucked it up and from my family. And that night I had a very important business meeting. So all I did was just fucking drink, so I can get a good fucking buzz, so like nobody can see me get a fucking panic attack or anything like that. So that night went very, very well. I was super happy. And the next day comes, and it was already time to go back home. So that day was a fucking disaster. I'm not even gonna like go through that fucking story. Maybe I'll make like a story time about it. All I can say is that like one of the American airline employees basically assaulted me. I don't know, let me know in the comments down below if you guys want to hear that story. It was a pretty fucked up story, to be honest, but I ended up getting like the last laugh. So anyway, next day comes, and I told myself that I was gonna get fucked up all that day because I didn't want to fucking have a panic attack anytime that day, especially on the flight. So I just started fucking drinking a lot of fucking beer, and all day I was good. and we ended up getting home like Saturday at 1 in the morning. And we come back and ended up having like 2 more panic attacks. That's when I was like, bro, like fuck this shit. I had been giving one of these and CBD, but I've never been into shit like that. I've never been into like taking something to like get myself better. One of my friends was telling me like, yo, just take it, it's gonna relax you. And I had to go to McAllen and drop something off, and my friend was here and I was like, yo, do you want to come with? He was like, yeah. And so I brought these along and he was just like, do it, bro, and like, you're with me, like anything happens, you're good. I said, all right. So I ended up doing that day. These fucking CBD drops chilled me the fuck out. I was super good, super happy, and I was like, maybe I found a solution. Like CBD is like something natural, like it's not gonna fuck me up, like I'll be good. So I did that for like 2 days, and then I had to stop because I have really bad sinus issues. So I had gone to go see a specialist, and basically they put me on antibiotics and steroids, and you cannot mix that with this. So I kind of stopped for a couple of days. I had been trying to go back to my therapist, and she was already booked. She couldn't see me. I kept trying to call other therapy companies. Nobody would call me back. So I felt like, fuck, bro, like I'm trying to like get the help that I need, and like nobody wants to help me out. I had already gone to the doctor, and my doctor had already prescribed me medication. He prescribed me antidepressants, but I had already been having them for about like 2 weeks since I came back from Florida, and I just never wanted to take them. I don't know what happened that I just started feeling very shitty once again. I think I only had like 1 good week, and I thought like, okay, badass, bro, like I'm starting to feel great. Like I don't feel like that anxious anymore. I don't feel off anymore. Like I was feeling better. I can get through my day. I can wake up, feel great, everything, right? 2 weekends ago, I've been wanting to buy a fucking lawnmower because I want to just start like doing some daily activities here at the house. I usually pay somebody to come cut the yard for me, but I was like, bro, I'll just do it, like whatever, it'll be fun, it'll distract my mind. I told my wife like, let's get ready, let's go to Lowe's so we can buy it, come back, and I'll just cut the yard. On my way to Lowe's, I started feeling very, very depressed. So I told my wife, you know what, I just need to turn around and I need to go back home. And she asked me why, and I said, I don't know, I don't feel like me. I feel very down, and I feel like I don't have any emotion. We come back, and every time that something like that happens, I feel very shitty because I don't think about me. I think about my daughters. Like, damn, it sucks that like they got all excited to go out to the store, and because of me, we had to come back home and not do shit. So I remember telling my wife like, yo, just take my daughters to Target and buy them whatever they want so they can be happy, and I'll just worry about me. So she took them. As soon as she left, I had a breakdown. Like I just started crying, and I didn't know why I was feeling like that. Started talking to my mom, and it was just a long conversation. And I just knew that like, yo, like it's just time that like, yeah, I do something about this shit. I've been having the medication, and I was really contemplating on taking them. It clicked that I had my therapist's number. So I texted her and I said, hey ma'am, like I know you're booked and I completely understand, but I had a question on the medication. Like, this is what they prescribed. What do you recommend? And she said, you know what? I would like to talk to you before you even take anything. I said, okay. So that was on a Saturday night. She spoke to me Monday. Once again, for the 3rd time in a row, she mentioned to me how she couldn't take me back because she was already booked, but because she wanted me to get better, on her off time, she was willing to fucking take me in and do therapy sessions with me. That Monday when we spoke, she told me to start taking the medication. So I started taking the medication. I was very scared. I was very anxious. Day 2 of taking that medication, you guys will see later on, like maybe like 3 weeks, that new video that I'm doing. I woke up with a very, very bad panic attack. It was super bad. Like, I know I said last time that I thought I was having like a heart attack, but like for sure this time I really thought I was having a fucking heart attack just because of how shitty it was. And then it was like at 4 in the morning. So but other than that, like the medication has been making me feel great. And so yeah, that's really basically like where I'm at with life right now. I just finally started taking medication. I think today will be day 7. So I take them in the nighttime. For anybody that's like going through some shit like that, one thing that I can really tell you guys is like, don't be afraid to speak to anybody. Don't be afraid to go to your parents. Don't be afraid to go to one of your close friends, or don't be afraid to go get help with a therapist. For a long time, I never wanted anybody to know what I'm going through. I finally learned to accept what I'm going through and to get the help that I need. For a long time, I didn't want to get the help that I needed. For a long time, I fucking put medication to the side. Yeah, a lot of people are going to tell you like medication is like last resort. Well, for me, I finally accepted that like I finally needed to take that medication. One thing that I do want to tell y'all is like there is light at the end of the tunnel. I know in the moment it might not seem like it. It's easy to get very frustrated. It's very easy to bring yourself down. And for a long time, I felt like that. I felt like there was be no way that I'm gonna ever get better or ever go back to being like my normal self again. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying that I'm great or that I already overcame this, because I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But one thing that I can say is like, regardless of how shitty I've been, like, I still feel at times I'm way better than where I used to be. And with anxiety, like, one thing that you guys need to know, or depression or whatever it is, there's always going to be setbacks, right? One thing that used to happen to me a lot was I would have like great 2-3 days and I felt like I was on top of the world, and I for some reason thought, okay, cool, like this is it, like I'll never go back to feeling shitty. And then that day comes where I feel shitty and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like for 2 days straight, I was like perfectly fine. I thought I was making progress, and now I feel shitty again. Instead of bringing myself down, like what I should have done was just like accept the fact that there is gonna be a minor setback, and I'm just supposed to be cool with them and write them out. And I still gotta work through my shit to get better, right? That's really about it. This is really my story. I hope this video brings light and positivity to anybody that's watching this that may be going through something. Just know that you're not alone. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next video. Peace.